Hello and welcome to STH English. The big news of today is at the SCO summit, India has refused to sign the joint communique. At the end of each summit, there is a large document comprising many papers that is issued, and each paragraph is vetted by the member states and everybody signs on it. India this time around refused to sign it. You know why? No prizes for guessing. Because the Pahalgam incident was not mentioned in the communique's wording, that SCO as a forum did not talk about the terrorist activity that Pakistan sponsors according to India, that his rather comical defense minister made absurd postulations and assertions, bringing no facts forth, was not taken seriously, and whatever he said basically went down the drain. And SCO, therefore, is a forum where we want to, state our case. But in case that case is not really registered in terms of its formulations, we are not going to sign on it. At the same SCO summit, when India tried to bring up the issue of banned groups operating out of Pakistan, and I will come to that in a little while. What is the reality of those banned groups, and frankly, what is it? Is there a loose end that we need to tie up on that? When it brought that up, Pakistan's National Security Advisor, who happens to be the DGISI as well, very soft-spoken but very firm person when it comes to putting forth his case. He does not hesitate, and there are no ahs and oohs in what he says. Basically, told the Indian delegation to just take a hike, and laid bare the fact that India is the biggest sponsor of terrorism across the region, has a whole history of doing that, has a whole history of attempting to hegemonize the region, and that countries are now rising up against India, and the fact that Pakistan gave India a bloody nose needs to be etched onto their minds, because the next time round they attempt something like this, the resolve from Pakistan will speak louder than the words that are speaking out here. So basically, he told the Indians to mind their own business and mind the curve on which they stand. That is the curve of new history that has emerged in South Asia and beyond. Indians would not register this. They are still licking their wounds. They are deeply aggrieved because their own plan has fallen flat on its face. India is attempting to do something nastier than before. That's what we're hearing from the Indian press, without realizing that the response is going to be heavier than before. So Indians are really punching in the air, tearing their hair out, trying to belittle every international forum's sanctity, just because the international forum refuses to acknowledge their stance. It is after a very, very long time, after they had already declared guilty verdict against Pakistan and attempted a futile war in which they got a pretty strong and memorable response, though they haven't drawn any lessons from that. India is now thinking in terms of somehow resurrecting its image as a strong country. But at every forum, it is being hit back. And I was looking at Donald Trump's presser after the NATO summit. It was truly amazing. It was amazing from the point of view of how he articulated his position on India and Pakistan. And he insisted that when he told Pakistani and Indian leaders that if they were to continue to fight, he will not do trade with them, that they started to say, yeah, we want to do trade and we will cease hostilities. Now, Pakistan's trade with the US is negligible. It's 3 billion versus 5+ billion. Indian trade as compared to Pakistani trade volume with the United States is 125 billion plus. And there are deep trade and commerce relations between the two countries. So you can only imagine when Donald Trump says that I pulled the trade card on India and Pakistan, against whom was he playing that trade card? That trade card was not being played against Pakistan because of the small volume and scale of the trade relations. It was being pulled against India. So India had to listen to United States of America. And Modi has gotten a beating of his lifetime from Congress. They have memed him into utter humiliation when it comes to listening to statements and from Trump, and how they repeat those statements in their own press conferences and convert them into memes. They have practically named Narendra Modi Surrender Modi. So when this kind of a domestic environment prevails, Modi shrinks into really a very small space. All the more so, and that's the other thing that you need to remember about Donald Trump's press conference. He was not just talking about trade for ceasefire. He was also talking about Narendra Modi and General Asim Munir. Now, here you have the Indian defense minister making absurd postulations about these terrorist groups being sponsored by Pakistan, Pakistan being a nuclear state, and someday these terrorist groups are going to be in possession of the nuclear states. The ultimate cliched Hollywood novel theme that India has picked up from the early 90s is being repeated here. Donald Trump, however, was putting General Asim Munir at par with Narendra Modi in terms of the sagacity that both countries' leadership showed in that crisis. This must really cut India to the quick. They must really feel very hurt and humiliated because they elevate themselves in their own world. And this reminds me of the sort of mental capacity that was shown by this strange character called Bandar Log in Rudyard Kipling's famous Jungle Book. Not in touch with reality, never touched ground, totally living on the trees. That's sort of an image that India has, which is the equivalent of Bandar Logs thinking about themselves, that they are really the true great people, and they are the ultimate democracy. Their leader being made to sit on a fictional table with Pakistan Army Chief General Asim Munir is something that Indians would not like at all. So therefore, we can understand India's frustration. They are getting hammering wherever they go. Their case is not being heard. They are exceedingly frustrated. So for Rajnath to sit there and fulminate against Pakistan, and then India acting like a little churlish child, walking out of the communique drafting room and saying we are not going to sign it because you did not incorporate our sentences that we spoke at this occasion about Pakistan Pahalgam is absolutely an indictment of how low Indians have fallen in grace and how weak their case has become. However, that doesn't mean that India will not utilize their own humiliation to attempt something even more adventurous than they attempted previously. In fact, the lower they fall in grace, the less weightage they wield in terms of international diplomacy, the fewer forums they are able to convince of their rather weak case, the harder the push becomes internally that they need to do something extraordinary to regain this space. And therein lies the danger that a battered, bruised, humiliated, humbled, unwilling to learn a lesson kind of a government that Modi has become is going to go to a disastrous path and do something which will be to the utter destruction of the ceasefire, and also precipitate a crisis much bigger than what the American president tried to prevent the last time round.